What this is farcical. They've actually closed the entrance here, presumably because of social distancing. Again, the bullshit that goes on. They've got this ridiculous little barrier at the front of Woolworths. So I've got to walk all around the block to get into the place. Oh, just bullshit, just never ceases. And it's all for nothing. Mind you, if I was a protest, I could be out in the streets, it could be a couple of thousand of me. No one would say anything. Police would do nothing. And that's what happened here actually. I think there was a couple of thousand marching in Cairns. I never saw it or heard it, but apparently they were here. And again, I don't know what they expect to achieve. It's just more a social event, I think. And it's not going to do any good. It's an issue in the US with one particular police department. And I don't see what good it's to have a global situation like this, especially considering we're not supposed to be in large groups. I mean, it just, oh God, I get fed up with the modern world. It just makes no sense. I think people have always been irrational, mind you. It's not a new phenomenon, but boy, it's just blatantly hypocritical these days. It does not impress me. That's all I can say. Oh, there was a customer, I think it was a customer in the library, so it's very slowly edging back to a normal situation, but very slowly. Trust me, I walked in through the exit door. Mind you, the exit door allowed people to walk through it, unlike the one at Woolworths. So I actually was able to come through, but not... Oh God. People call that music. I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, I walked through the exit door into the library. I only realised today that was the exit door. So they've got a separate exit and then an entrance door. Again, for you know what? SD. Good old SD rules. Right, got my shopping done. Still couldn't find the pies on discount, though. It's amazing. Those Herbert Adams pies, they're just going at a premium at the moment. But last time I was here, I actually didn't pick up 2 items that I paid for, which was a couple of chocolate bars that were mint. What were they? Mint? I guess, yeah, mint sort of flavoured chocolate bars. Never tried them before, maybe never will now. I think I picked up all the items I paid for this time, but that... I can't recall doing that before. Maybe once in my life. It's been a pretty rare occurrence, but it's, again, this coronavirus thing is sort of tied up with it because I've got bad eyesight. You've got the Perspex plastic between yourself and the customer service person, and it makes it harder for me to see the items. So these are sort of consequences you don't think about with all that. I'm wondering if those shields will be left in place. I guess that's going to be a permanent addition now. I don't know whether they bother taking them off again. I suppose I can understand the rationale of that too. There might be a flare-up in the future. And there's always some other sort of contagion that could be floating around. So I think, you know, we're in a situation these days where we're all being cotton-wooled and we'll basically shut down everything at the drop of a hanky. Could well be our future, you know. I mean, maybe we're going to have to toughen up or won't survive. I mean, there is a theory about that type of thing. You have to build up immunities, and like I had very bad asthma as a kid, but I think my mum really was a very thorough cleaner, cleaned the house very well. It may have done more damage than good. She didn't know any better, but I haven't had that issue as an adult. It's been a hell of a lot better, but it was so bad, I almost died of asphyxiation a couple of times. I really had bad asthma. It was so hard to breathe. It was a nightmare when I was a kid. And so any time that I can breathe easily, I'm happy with, because I know what it's like to literally choke to death. It's not pleasant. And in those days, we didn't have the same medications available. So Ventolin wasn't around, for instance. So they're quite limited with the relief that can be provided. So life is a lot easier these days, a lot better for someone who's asthmatic. Because I take a preventative Seretide, and that's an amazing medication. It seems to work really well. It looks like they've changed the walkway here, so we have to see if we can follow it. Because I mean, I've proven I'm pretty hopeless at this. Actually, that's a dead end. Great. Oh, what's it say? Okay. Oh, that's just an entrance to the shop. Right, got it. Okay. It's like walking in a maze around Cairns these days. There's so many building works in progress. Well, there's no workers to obstruct my passage this time, so I should be able to get there okay. But yeah, no, as a kid I suffered really badly. So adulthood's been a huge blessing for me as far as breathing is concerned. So yes, I'm glad I got over that. And I had to contend with bad eyesight too. That was pretty bad in clean classrooms with blackboards. I actually had to have opera glasses to see the blackboard. That's how short-sighted I am. So yeah, I had a few struggles along the way. So I wouldn't have survived in primitive times. I would have been a goner years ago. I probably would have made it through childhood. I know my mum actually had a miscarriage before she had me, so yeah, childbirth was pretty tough those days. You expected to have a few miscarriages before you had a successful birth, and there were plenty of women who died in childbirth as well. Things have changed a lot, so it's a much softer existence we have now, and I think we've lost connection with our evolutionary roots to that degree. I'm not saying we should all basically go back to that. I mean, it's good to use technology, but you know, I remember I had to catch the bus as a kid, about 5-year-old, by myself to school. These days, unheard of. Everybody chauffeured to school. You know, I know I've got friends who basically got kids that they've cotton wooled, and you know, it's definitely affected the way they've grown up. They're less independent, I think, and that's why I think kids stay at home much longer these days. It's not healthy. I think they should be encouraged to go out more and be more self-reliant, and maybe have to do survival courses and things just to get them out into the bush, say, and have to you know, have a campfire and tents and all that crap. I mean, I don't like it personally. I had to go to the school. We had a farm, we had a school farm I had to go to. I didn't relish that much, but it was all the idea was to basically give you another perspective from your soft existence to one that's, you're in a group situation and you had to muck in and do farm work and stuff like that, and group activities, and it didn't thrill me much. I was happy when it was over, but it's just something you had to do on a couple of occasions during your education. So yeah, these days those kids go, well, they used to go to China. I don't think they could be doing that anymore, but that used to be what my old school ended up doing. Kids these days, they fly overseas for excursions. It's unbelievable. Now, what's the time? Truth. Will the code I've been given to open the pedestrian gate into my units, into the unit block, work? I've got it on my mobile, and we'll just see in a second whether it works or not. It better. I've got to get myself some more gin today, because I've got to say, I've got a real taste for it. It's a great spirit. I really like it. And actually, good news today is it's apparently on special at Dan Murphy's. Not the Windsor, which I usually have, which is fine. That's about $33. They've got Vickers on special, 700ml bottle, same size as the Windsor, but it's only about, I think, $27 with my membership card. So that's a really cheap. So let's go wait here with all the school kids. Football started last night too, the first game, Richmond Collingwood game at the MCG. Channel 7 made some fine, they did some fine tuning to actually provide a little bit of background sound. It was like white sound, rather than actually crowds reacting specifically to what's going on. it was more a general hum in the background, but it was better than having nothing. And then they also had a fans sort of a collage up on screen, but it looked to me as if they were only Collingwood supporters. I may be wrong there, but I've got a pretty big screen there and I didn't see any yellow and black in it. I thought it was all black and white. So I thought that was a bit strange. I mean, why only Collingwood supporters? I'll catch up. I'll actually send an email off to my friend in Brisbane who's a Collingwood supporter and see if he probably watched it. Apparently it's the highest ratings they've had for a home away game, so people were really hanging out to see a bit of football and just see what he thought. But yeah, look, it's a shame that that you can't get different commentary teams doing using the same feed of the actual live action, because I think it's pretty staid, the Channel 7 stuff. I don't like broadcast TV stuff mainly anyway. It'd be nice if they could sell rights, like general rights, to anybody who wants to broadcast on top of that vision. Have to pay for that, and they allow other parties to do it. But I guess exclusive rights come expensive. They can bid up the price higher. It's probably a business model they're going with, so it makes sense. Before I forget to, I want to make a comment about reality shows. There's one I always like watching. It's Naked and Afraid XL, where you've got about I think about a dozen people who have been put in god-awful locations, this time in Africa, really dry part of Africa with lots of wildlife around. You know, it's a really crappy place to try to survive. But guess what? One of these people that's actually partnering up with a male Naked and Afraid contestant is actually a vegan. And so she caught a fish. She did well to catch this fish. She was fine catching it, but she couldn't look at the guy when he was actually cutting its head off and actually gutting it so they could eat. And he virtually had to force any of that fish down her throat. And I'm thinking, well, if you're a vegan, why the hell would you sign up for an assignment like this? It doesn't make any sense, you know. You can afford to be picky and choosy when you're in a civilized environment where you've got a choice of different foodstuffs and quite a large variety of vegetables. But when you're actually in a survival situation, it's absurd. I mean, the greatest extreme of that is the actual film Survive, which is basically that soccer team that crashed in the Andes, and they had to actually eat the dead members of the team to keep themselves alive. I mean, you know, you just have to survive. So yeah, I just think it's really precious and stupid. But this woman knew what she was getting into, and the producers knew, and they probably just wanted conflict. They didn't care. But it's just ridiculous. So I have very little sympathy for her. You know, she was just thrown into a situation where they had no control, but she had control. So yeah, stuff, just ridiculous. It's the modern world, it's crazy. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.